All right, all right, all right. I am excited. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to KR Success Coaching. We are here today with a very, very special show for you. We're talking about leadership today. But before we get going and I introduce these two distinguished gentlemen who are with me, I would love for you to type into the comment section where you are tuning in from today. So let us know what your first name is and where you're tuning in from today. And we're going to get started in probably about 2 minutes. So go ahead and let us know where you are right now. And let me tell you, while you're doing some of that, a little bit about our host today. We are with Kaya Redford, and this is KR Success Coaching. Now, Kaya Redford is a trainer's trainer in neuro-linguistic programming. Now, if you have seen some of our recent broadcasts, you are aware that neuro-linguistic programming is the study of human excellence. It's the study of the connection between how we think, our neurology, how we speak to ourselves and to other people, our linguistics, and that internal unconscious programming that so often seems to control our world. Neuro-linguistic programming is intended to give you the tools that you need so that you can spark your greatest leadership potential. And that is what we are going to talk about today. So I am going to actually turn this over to Kaya Redford, and he is going to tell you more about the distinguished gentleman that we're going to talk to today. Kaya?
Awesome. Thank you for such a beautiful, warm introduction, Sean. As we all know, our beloved Sean Arnold, Success NLP Master Coach, attorney. She's got those 3 letters, Esquire, at the end of her name. And she also is doing a major project overseas coming up soon. So we're so proud of her to be changing the world. And I'm sure she's going to be letting us know a little bit about that. So we love you, Sean, and we're super excited to have you as our co-host on this incredible show, The Models of Excellence. And just want to share the purpose real quick of why we're doing this. I find that I've gone and studied probably about $300,000-$400,000 invested in myself in seminars, hearing from incredible people. And one thing I came across, just like Sean shared, is this thing called excellence, this thing called modeling excellence. And when we think about modeling excellence, we may have heard of this thing called NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which was actually studied by one of the greatest communicators, Ronald Reagan, studied by Bill Clinton, studied by Oprah Winfrey, studied by Richard Branson, studied by some of the greatest people in history. And that's kind of the reason why we're learning it, because it's really built on this idea of if someone is super successful at something, if someone is incredible at something, we can actually learn what their model is, how they see it, how their mindset is, how their communication is, what is their behaviors, what are their strategies, how do they go about doing what they do on a daily basis. And we can get a blueprint. It's almost like a model. And then once we know what that model is, as long as it's in alignment with what our goals are, we can take that model and we can duplicate that model within ourselves. And that's what this is really about. And today we've got an incredible man, a man that I love very dearly. We've known each other for, wow, I don't know, it's been a few years. I met actually Paul it was like a Grammys after party. Felt like 10 years ago. It might have been 8 years ago. I'm not sure how many years ago. And someone said, that's the mayor of Ontario. And I thought, okay, Ontario. I don't know, Ontario. Is that in Canada? I wasn't sure. I didn't grow up here, right? So I'm in LA, don't know too much about the neighboring cities and so forth. And then I end up meeting him and I find out he's the mayor of Ontario, as in
California.
California. And he was such a humble man, so warm, so friendly, so gracious. We hit it off immediately. We got together, we had some lunches. He's got an incredible wife, Cheryl Leone, as well. She's a photographer. She does magnificent photography. And I just got the opportunity to really meet him and to build this amazing, incredible friendship with him. And as a result of that, we've been working closely with him in his city. And so what I wanted to do is introduce to you one of the greatest leaders that I personally know. This man has been, and he's now on his 4th term as mayor of the city of Ontario. He's known as the heart of Ontario. He's a very beloved leader. He's also a pastor. He has his own church, which I'm sure he'll talk about a little bit. Incredible man. And I'd like for us to just learn a little bit about him, his model of the world, and how, this is the whole purpose, how does someone raise to the occasion again and again and again, where people want him in that leadership position, people respond to him, people take action, people are influenced by him, and he has an incredible, great city to be in, to live in. And so without further ado, I would like to say, and all of our Facebook family, to say a warm welcome to Mayor Paul Leone.
Yay! Welcome, Mayor Leone. It is our honor to welcome you today.
Yes.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Good to be here. Yes. And I know, Paul, that you've got some stuff going on, you know, with the fires and the fact that you were able to take the time with us today to do this interview. We really honor you for your time. And we promise everybody that you are absolutely going to get an enormous amount of value out of tonight, because you're going to learn from this man about his ability to really build relationships and hold relationships in such a way that it's amazing. So Paul, how you feeling tonight?
I'm good. You're right about the fires. It's a very difficult time for me because one of them is consuming my hometown of Ojai as we speak. The original, the very large one, the Thomas Fire. But even as we go throughout Southern California, we always see that Southern California is inundated by 2 real catastrophes. If we take out the earthquakes, we end up with yearly, we end up with fires and mudslides, because those mudslides follow the fires. But for today, I'm focused on what we're doing, and I'm happy to be here. I thank you for inviting me to be a part of your program.
Awesome. Awesome. I'm super, super excited. So Paul, I guess the very first question anybody would want to ask, right, is what is your purpose? You know, you've been in office now, how many years as mayor of City of Ontario?
I'm working on my 14th year now.
Amazing.
14th year.
But you're also a pastor.
Yeah, I do that too. I'm in my city office. I mean, my church office, not my city office.
Wow.
Right.
That's fantastic. So I guess in the context of leadership, in the context of being mayor of your city, it's so important that when we do this, we have a conversation. It's in a very specific context. As mayor of your city, what would you say your purpose is?
Well, I have always felt that it was important for me immediately to connect with community in a more intimate way, or a more honest way. That's a good way to put it. Intimate. I don't want to. That's almost a strange situation these days. But an honest way. Before I got on the Ontario City Council back in 1998, because I was a city councilman for 6 years before I became mayor. It was always frustrating to me to try to approach my city leaders, and especially the mayor, because they were just unapproachable, except for one gentleman in particular who became my very dear friend, Gary Ovitt. But we, just as the everyday person living in the city, there just seemed to be this separation between those of us who live here and those who were elected to lead. And I immediately—
What did you attribute that to? Was that they were so busy? Was it that they had a certain attitude? Was it that they just didn't feel it was important to reach out to the constituents? What was the reason for that disconnect, in your opinion?
I think it was just personalities. And I also think it was tradition, that a lot of people felt like once you got elected to office at any level, that all of a sudden you were given an inch and you became a ruler. That's what I used to say to them.
Power.
Yeah. But I've always believed that actually we serve the people. And if you're serving the people, they're sitting at the table while you're waiting.
So then would you say that part of leadership is knowing how to actually handle that power once you get it?
Well, I think you can't let it go to your head. I think that you have to make sure that you remain the same person that you always were. I used to have people tell me that money changes people or power changes people, but I've always believed that those two things expose people for who they really wanted to be. And so I've never really felt like I wanted to be anything other than a normal person. So
absolutely. Money and alcohol, they just make you more of who you really are.
And Sean, we were talking about that only a week ago, right?
Yes.
We had that conversation that money and alcohol makes you more of who you really are. So Paul, you mentioned purpose kind of relating to people in an intimate, honest way.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go. Yeah, go ahead. Did you want to share more?
No, I think that's the basis of everything that I believe in as a political leader, as a community leader, as an elected.
So I'm actually going to write purpose.
Now, do you think that your purpose as you see it dovetails with how the public sees your purpose?
Well, I think that there is a misconception, probably nationwide, that gives people this idea that elected officials somehow are elevated into a higher position of automatic respect and all these other things. And
I've always said that about people with Esquires behind their names. They are not a better class of human being just because you're an attorney.
Only this one right here. She's an acceptable being.
I'm still just Shawnee from the block.
Shawnee from the block, yes.
Yeah.
Paul, share with us a little bit about, just real quick, your roots. You said, you told me the other day that you're this kid from Ohio, or Ojai. That's right, Ojai.
Right. Yeah, you're not from here, but yeah,
clearly.
Ojai, California is a small town up by Ventura and Santa Barbara, and right now it's about ready to catch on fire. I mean, everything else around it is, and we're just praying that it doesn't. But the people, when I was growing up, there were still celebrities lived there, political leaders lived there, and I grew up with their children, and sometimes them, and there was just this unspoken agreement that none of us made a big deal about that. You know, in order for people to live a real life without intrusions and all this stuff, you just had to treat them real. So we did, and it was just disrespectful to make any kind of big deal about somebody being someone or someone's kid. So I just carried that. And my friends from Ojai, we still talk. And when I go to visit them, it cracks me up because they say stuff like, well, you know, it's really great that you're the mayor. And then they wrestle with, but I still need to treat you like Paul Leon, the guy that was sitting next to me in third grade. And that's fine. And I like that. And I tell them that I think that part of my success in politics is because I'm an Ojai kid.
That could be a little tough sometimes, though, because the people who knew you when you were a knucklehead will always see you as a knucklehead, even when you rise above knuckleheaditude.
But that's just my mom.
Right. Indeed. So let me ask you a question, Mayor. we are getting a sense of your purpose and how you see yourself and where you come from and how that affected you in your life. Let me ask you about your constituents. You are a four-term mayor. Why? What is it about you that makes you electable again and again and again? What do people see in you as a leader?
Well, I don't think it's any one thing. I don't think you can say, you know, this is the one thing we love about this guy. But I think that one of the things is what I've already said, is that you have to maintain a balance of reality about yourself. I don't take myself so serious that I treat other people with indignity. I treat everybody with dignity and respect, even if I don't like them. I look at my position as a place where I have to be respectful in every way. And I try my best not to, even if I'm angry, if somebody's saying something crazy or doing something crazy, I still try to treat them with the respect that they deserve as, in my book, a child of God. So that's just what it is. And then also there has to be a level of decisiveness. I mean, you can't be a good leader if you don't ever make a decision. And honestly, you're not, as a mayor or an elected official, you're not going to make everyone happy. Because I tell people all the time, if I make everyone happy, then I'm doing something wrong. Because, you know, someone's got to be upset with my decision, because every decision has two sides.
Awesome.
So I cannot be fearful of making a decision ever. And I think that people respect that.
Awesome. So Paul, I added that decisiveness. So what we're doing, Facebook family, and as we share this to all of our Facebook communities, our Fortune 500 companies, I know we have B of A watching, our Wells Fargo, our Century 21s, our Keller Williams, our Remaxes.
Yes, we've got lots of folks in the chat room. I'm kind of looking up and down.
Yes. So what we're doing essentially is we started with purpose. What we're doing is we're building the model that makes Mayor Paul Leone. Of course, this isn't going to be an exact science with the amount of time we have. We would need to spend maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days with him. And we'll definitely have an opportunity in March of 2018 to spend a day with him and some incredible leaders just like him. And I'll announce that a little bit later. But what we're looking at doing is building this model. And it's almost like, I'd like for us to think of it as a building. Have you seen a building where they have scaffolding on the side of the building? And that scaffolding supports this structure, supports up this thing called results. The results, being elected mayor for a 4th term, being the heart of a city. So what we're looking at doing is finding out what is the unique model that makes Mayor Paul Leone, that builds this and creates these results that he has, which I would say are pretty, I would consider outstanding results. So our next question for you, Mayor Paul Leone, is in the context of motivation, because our purpose is one thing and motivation is a little bit more of the why. What would you say your motivation is, or your why is, every day when you get up in the morning and you do your public service? What gets you up every morning with your why? What's your why?
Well, why is because there's a list of things to do every day that I get up and I can never finish from yesterday. And
right. So on that topic, so there's a list of things to do every day that you needed to get done yesterday. So if you were to sum all that up, for what motivation do you do that?
Well, I'm you know, Kaya, it's hard for me to tell you about me because I feel uncomfortable. I almost feel like I'm bragging. But
yeah, please do.
No, but I don't want it. But I've always been a self-starter. No one ever had to tell me pick up the broom and sweep. I feel responsible, and I have a duty to accomplish those goals that have been set before me. And money is not a part of the reward. The accomplishment of these goals is my reward.
Is that innate, or is that something you learned along the way?
Well, I think I learned it. I don't think that anybody, well, someone may be born with that trait. I don't know. but I've had some very good role models in my life, some mentors in my life who instilled these things upon me. And you know, I don't have a clue who Richard Kosaki is as a human being, but I sure know about his book and his information on Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes.
He grew up who I was, only I wasn't quite as intense about being rich as he was. I was more intense about being successful without the dollar signs attached. I just always wanted to accomplish a great goal. But whenever you hear him talk, he's like, I always tell everybody, I want to be rich. I want to be rich. I want to be rich. Well, that was never really my goal. I just wanted to do good work.
What role does that play, do you think, in your success with the city, in your success as a public servant, that you're focused on getting things done and not focused on, because most of the people that we work with, we coach, we train, they're realtors, they're in financial services, they're in network marketing, they're in the business to make money. And I think sometimes there is too great of an attachment on money that perhaps as a result of that overemphasis, over attachment to money, maybe they push people away. Maybe they don't build the quality relationships. We actually spoke about this yesterday, Paul, which was your outlook on relationship building. Share with us a little bit about that, please.
Well, if your goal is just to get money and you chase money real hard, it just seems to get further away. You know, it's never really enough, and you never really grab a hold of the gold ring, because it just turns into a new gold ring. It was kind of like how I felt about buying computers in the 1990s. You know, you buy one, it's the best one, and next month there's a better, best one. I mean, you know, and so you're just buying a new computer every 3 months. Well, for me, when I go out to achieve the goals that are set before me, the blessings flow out of that. I don't usually do all of these things with a personal intent. I don't say, well, I'm going to gain this for doing this, or I'm going to benefit this way if I do that for this person. I just generally go out and I do things, and then the blessings fall on top of me. The Bible basically calls it the blessings, God's blessings overtake you. And so I was out body surfing one time in Hawaii, and I wasn't looking, and before I knew it, I mean, this huge wave just grabbed me and threw me forever. I was flying, and I thought, wow, that was really something. That wave overtook me. And many times blessings that have come in my life because I did something some other time, something happens at another time that I wasn't expecting, but it sure was cool. You know, that was related, but not expected.
So the energy you give into the universe might not come back to you the way that you gave it or the place that you gave it, but it will come back. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, I know this isn't church. I'm in church, you're not, but you know, it's
right. You are a pastor.
Yeah, well, you know, Jesus said it's better.
We have to give you certain liberties here.
Jesus said it's better to give than to receive, and he understood why. You know, he also said, "Don't worry about tomorrow; it'll take care of itself. Do what you're doing right now, you know, and do it." And whenever he told the guys, "Hey, go out and feed everybody," they even said, "Hey, we don't have the money to do it." He said, "Did I ask you about money? Just go out and feed everybody; it'll happen." My life has been an absolute example of that, because I often go out and I do things, and once again, talking about all of this language that you all know, my reticulating activation system goes to work. I didn't even know. I just set out to do something, and then bam, 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 I'm collecting all of the resources just because I put my mind in a place to go after something.
Awesome.
And I didn't need the money.
So for those who are sitting at home,
yes,
sort of putting one foot in front of the other every day, I think the big takeaway there is watch the intent. Be aware of your intent. If your intent is to make a positive impact in the world, then all of the increases will find their way to you.
Very well said.
Well said, yes. Amazing, Sean. Yes, I love it. All right. So the next thing we've covered: purpose, motivation, self-starter, being decisive, getting the job done, not thinking about the attachment to money or the end outcome so much. The next layer to this scaffolding coming up is emotions. Now, oftentimes the emotions of an individual we find really either drive them toward a goal or drive them in the opposite direction, because having that emotional intelligence with your relationship building, with the different things that have a sense of urgency in the city, what would you say is the emotions that you frequent mostly on a day-to-day basis, being honest, that you put into your career as mayor of City of Ontario? Emotions.
Well, I think as the mayor of the city, just the mayor job, I'm oftentimes, I'm very well, I guess I'm pleased with what's going on, especially in this city, because I feel it's such a well-run city. And so emotionally, I get a very happy feeling on a daily basis. I don't go out of my house with my head covered, like, gee, I hope nobody sees me out here. And then, of course, I'm in a church. And so I kind of have the same outlook. But the reality is people are hurting and people are suffering, and there are a lot of things that need to get done. And a lot of times people don't really understand the role of a mayor. They think that I can do a whole lot more than I ever could do. They don't even understand the role of a pastor. People I don't know walk in the door and they want money and they want resources and they want a home and they want everything else. And, I can't give it to them. I feel like, what Peter and John said, money, gold and silver I have none, but what I have, I'll give to you. I'll introduce you to God, and he knows something. So, but I generally go out on a pretty good foot every day. I feel good pretty much every day.
So feeling good and being happy. My next question is, with the position and leadership that you have, with conflicts and drama and things coming up on a day-to-day basis, deadlines. How do you respond emotionally to that stuff that stresses most people out? Is it still happiness? Is it a different resourceful emotion that you bring that helps you through tough times?
Well, when I'm stressed, I just take it out on my wife. Isn't that what everybody gets married for? I just yell at my wife for a little while. I go out, I'm all right.
Gee, glad I live alone.
I know Cheryl probably sends it right back at you, right?
Yeah.
She's a redhead. She's got a lot more red hair than I do.
Yeah.
Very fiery personality. We love her. We love her so much.
A little more real.
All right, so I'm going to write down happiness. And what can we sum up with one word?
Oh, choice. Happiness is a choice. Seriously, listen, I was a foster kid, and I lived under a mantle of depression for a lot of years. And someone once gave me a poster that I put above my bed, and it literally followed me from group home to group home to group home. And that poster said very simply, happiness is not a destination. Happiness is found along the road. It's a choice.
Yep.
Everything that we do in our lives is a choice, from getting out of bed in the morning to deciding to live a lawful life or a godly life or a loving life or a happy one. Yes. It's a choice. We can choose to be angry. We can choose to be depressed. We can choose to be whatever it is that we like. But if we want to be happy in our lives, then we need to affirmatively choose that.
Yes, absolutely. I completely 100% concur. Paul, your thoughts on that?
Well, I was also a foster child. I didn't go from home to home. I had one foster mother. My best friend, I left my family when I was 12, and I ended up at my best friend's house, and his mom just basically said, hey, there's a couch as long as you need it. And that's when I was 12, and I was leaving that couch when I joined the Army at 16 years old. And
so what choice did you make for yourself at 16, being disenfranchised for all intents and purposes? What choice did you make in terms of your baseline?
Well, by then, my foster mother had really taught me how to be a positive thinker. She was a single mom. She had 3 boys, and I never saw her talk about debt or money, nothing. She never asked any, I was, once again, all of that self-start stuff that she taught me. She was always like, she was always telling me good things about myself. And then I somewhere along the line, I started believing her.
Wow.
You're industrious, you're very smart, you can figure this out. She would leave me with challenges at home that she wouldn't leave with her own sons. It was weird. And she'd say, you can figure this out, get it done. And so
yes, that is the building blocks of a leader.
Yes.
That is the building blocks of a leader. That is how to build one in your own household.
So she basically taught you empowerment, self-empowerment.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and she passed away a few years back, but I still love her deeply. And then I worked at different places. I've had a full-time job since I was 7 years old.
Wow.
I was shining shoes on the streets of Ojai when I was 7.
Oh, wow.
I went into a barber shop when I was 9, and that was full time. Then I got a job. There used to be a miniature golf in Ojai. It isn't there anymore. But I worked there at the miniature golf, and from 11 to 14. At 14, I got a job in a grocery store bagging groceries. And at 16, I joined the Army, and I was off in the Army. I don't remember ever not working in my whole life.
So Paul,
putting a kid to work today at 7 years old, somebody throw you in jail. But I was glad to have the money.
What was your dream then growing up of becoming? Did you have any idea what you would become one day, or did you have one direction you wanted to go in?
No, I'm a horrible example about setting goals as a young person as what you wanted to accomplish in life. Absolutely the worst guy in the world. I'm Slumdog Millionaire all the way. I tell you, it's amazing the things that I learned in life and where I ended up. And it was just a combination of God having His hand on me my entire life and guiding me through great things and into great things. I worked for different people. When I worked at the miniature golf, once again, I'm 11 years old, and this old man says, "Well, here's a book on electrical stuff. Here's what you do. Go set up the electrical, and all of these lights, I want them all working right." I'm 11 years old, and I had to figure it out, and I did it. So, just stuff like that.
So it's an interesting repetitive theme that I think is kind of unusual. I'm just going to share that, my feeling is it's unusual to have people you being at such a young age to tell you, hey, go do this and figure it out. Hey, go do that and figure it out. Sometimes parenting and people that are taking care of children try to do too much. And here you are at such a young age, and people are asking you to do these wild, crazy things. What was it about you that you feel that was the reason why you brought that sort of guidance?
Trust and I don't think it was anything. I think it was just that they needed something done, and I was the only one there. And I remember this elderly Dutch Indonesian lady told me in church one time. She said, they asked me to be youth pastor, and I had never done anything of the kind, and I was like 30. And the guy and she says, "Oh, God is not looking for ability. He's looking for availability, and you're not doing anything." And I went, "Oh, I guess I'll do that." So, but I mean, and I look back in my life and I remembered, I did this because I was the only one available. At the miniature golf, there's all kinds of little machines you got to get in because they move. Well, that old man couldn't do it. I'm 11 years old. I'm in everything. So that's why it was availability.
Wow.
But you were also coachable as well as available. And I think that that's huge. Yeah. A lot of us are so wrapped up in what we think we already know that when someone gives us a book and says, here's a book on electrical, figure it out, we either get stuck or afraid because we don't want to look bad We don't want to feel stupid. So we will limit our own trajectory out of fear. And I think what I'm hearing you say is you took on all comers.
Yeah.
You didn't really have a choice as a foster kid. You kind of had to be scrappy. But I think that's a big lesson for those who are listening this evening.
I don't know what all of those group homes. And then when I was a youth pastor, I dealt with kids in the youth group homes. Mm-hmm. And I've listened intently in person about 3 times and read the books from David Pelzer, who I think is the foster child. You're not looking at me good. Do you know who David Pelzer is?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Does that mean you don't care for him? Just look at her face and like, anyway, I've heard him and he's, he says hey, foster homes were his salvation. It was,
yeah.
So,
that never happened to me.
I think that there's certain things that the hard times make you strong.
Yeah. I wouldn't be an attorney if I wasn't a foster kid. I wouldn't have had the impetus to not drop the ball for all those years.
There you go. We have to look back. And that's the other thing is, and by the way, I'm still intimately family involved with my biological mom and brothers. And, it's all coming, they're my family still. Mm-hmm. And I still take care of my mom, And
wonderful, wonderful.
So it's not like I don't have my biological family around. It's just that this other person really molded and shaped me more than anything else. Mm-hmm. But I just think that I look back in my history and I just choose to see all of the great things that made me who I am versus gripe about all of the bad things I didn't ever have.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
So Kaya, given that scaffolding that you have behind you and the conversation that we are having with Paul this evening, what else can you fill in the short time that we have left to take us up to those results that we were looking for?
That is a great question, Sean. So the next thing we want to touch on is values. And most people have an idea when they hear values, they think if it's this kind of thing that's outside of them, or they think it's this thing that they think of. And what we've discovered in our academy with neuro-linguistic programming is most of our values are unconscious, or we could say subconscious. They're things that are driving our behavior, and most of the time they're things that we don't even consciously think about. So Paul, what would you say is most important to you in the context of your career? What's most important to you? And what we're looking for is specific values as one word items, as opposed to kind of and I mean, sure, we can explain them and how you feel about them, but what would you say those key words are, the values that you find most important?
He's looking for nouns.
Yeah. Gosh, my first thought was just, originally I was going to just say faith. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't have a higher authority, mm-hmm. then you answer to no one. I once had a district attorney when I was brand new came up to me and said, I've been looking at you and I don't see anything wrong yet, but I'm watching real close. I'm waiting.
That's interesting.
And I said, yeah. And I said, well, you know what, Mr. District Attorney, you can keep looking because I don't answer to you.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
So what else is important to you?
So for those of us watching, please type in faith in the comments so that we can put in the comments Paul's top 5 values. So Faith, go ahead, Paul.
I think you have to have a work ethic. You have to have a work ethic. You have to be honest.
And so what's important to you about having a work ethic?
Well,
what does that do for you?
Some people can count on me to complete the job.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be on me. You don't have to look at me. You don't have to say, will you do this? And then call me 20 times to see if I did it. You don't have to call me and wonder, you're not going to ever see me on the big jumbotron at the Dodger game when I was supposed to be at work.
Would you call that accountability then?
There's some accountability involved to it, but once again, I'm at self-accountability. I'm self-accountable.
Okay. So faith, work ethic, maybe three more of your most important values.
Honesty.
Yeah.
Well, I would say, Kaya, I would also define honesty as good character. I don't know if that's right, but you have to have a good character, and honesty is part of that good character.
Mm-hmm. So we can see why you've been elected to 4 terms, because these are the things that are the most important to you in carrying out your position. These are the things that shine through to other people. So for those of us who are watching at home right now, we encourage you to think about your life. Think about your purpose. Think about the things that you are doing on a day-to-day basis and determine for yourself what is important to you about those things. Because those things that are important to you, your attention flows where your heart goes. And people can see it. They can absolutely see your underlying motivation. They can see your value system very clearly. All of this scaffolding that Kaya is building for us today, these are the things that people see in us. And these are the things that are so important for us to have deep within our character. These are the things that we do when no one's watching. And they determine the trajectory of our lives. They determine our success or our failure. There are some people that will tell you, trouble follows me wherever I go. No, bad decisions follow them wherever they go.
Exactly.
Can I jump in here real quick?
Yes,
absolutely.
You said that things that you're doing when no one else is watching, which I call integrity, which was going to be the next word.
Is that enough? Okay, I'm going to write that down.
Go.
Integrity is important, and integrity will keep you clean from doing the things that someone with no integrity would do easily. Mm-hmm. And for me, in the jobs I've had as an adult, which I've had, man, I think I counted at one time, I've changed careers 7 times. I've had absolute career. What other people might do for their whole life, I've got 7 of those behind me, okay? Mm-hmm. And part of the integrity is the ability to say no to someone who's trying to tell you that this great idea won't get us in trouble. And certainly one of those things are addictions. And I actually have a something here that you probably, it looks like a spaceship. Mm-hmm. In actuality, you might see that it's actually a frying pan.
Oh, wow.
But I know a guy who has the Guinness World Record strongest hands in the world. And he took 2 frying pans. You can see there's another one inside. Wow. And rolled these up like a burrito for me. Now, I cannot unbend it, no matter. I keep it because I can't unbend it at all. And what he taught me is a very good man. And he said, Paul, is this a frying pan? And I said, yes. And he says, well, it is, but can it do what it was made to do? And I said, well, if you're making burritos, maybe, but no, it can't do what it was made to do because it came under the influence of a stronghold.
Love it.
And it ruined its ability to be used for what God made it for. Wow. So anyway, well, I just wanted to give you that. Integrity is letting go of yourself. You let you get bent like a frying pan. I don't believe that.
I love that. I love that. All right. So Paul, attached to the values, we teach values are almost like, if we can imagine in a kitchen, you've got those hooks where you put the different cups on or the different different saucers or pans on. So the main hook is the value, and all of those individual cups around it are the beliefs. And beliefs are so important because they absolutely link to our values. We're curious, what is a belief that you have about yourself? Or what are the beliefs you have about yourself that empower you to do what you do?
I think that probably my best ability or as a leader is that I believe in other people's abilities and capabilities. I believe that the buck stops here, but that doesn't make me the smartest and the brightest and the most capable of fulfilling this task. Mm-hmm. I think what happens to a lot of people, especially when they're elected, all of a sudden they go from zero to hero in their own head, or they go from guy to God. Mm-hmm. And I got to tell you that, it doesn't work that way. You have to be able, if you're a leader, you have to be able to, you need to know how to play all the instruments if you can, but you don't need to be the whole band.
Absolutely.
And a lot
of entrepreneurs suffer from that a lot as well.
Yeah. In government, you cannot be a one-man band. And I would just reflect, I'm going to offend somebody, but I just reflect right now out there. I think that we have some one-man bands that are at pretty high places that really, I think, could help a lot more people if they just settle down and let people do what they do best and watch it. But for me, in the city of Ontario, I have a team of council members, always with great qualities, or at the church, leaders with great qualities, and I let them do their thing. And when I need to come in and say, hey, I think we should do this, I do. But for the most part, if they're cruising, I just let them go.
Delegation is often one of the hardest things for people to do, sometimes because they're afraid. They're afraid that they'll lose if they let somebody else have it. Sometimes they're afraid that somebody might be better at it than they are, and they don't want to feel like they're incompetent. But I think delegation is probably one of the more important things that you do as a mayor of a city. Would you agree?
Yeah, I would agree 100%, but there are many, many elected officials who don't want to let anybody get any credit for anything other than themselves. Mm-hmm. My whole thing has always been, I go to the statement of John the Baptist, they were coming, his buddies were coming up to him and saying, hey, that guy, Jesus, is over there doing all this stuff. And he said, well, that's because he's Jesus. He has to increase and I need to decrease. He wasn't afraid of it, even though he was the superhero of his day, John the Baptist being. So for me, the way I look at it is that, if I can promote somebody because they're doing a great job, that's okay. And as long as I'm still mayor, people still know that too. And we just collectively get credit for doing a great job. But I have to set people free to do the best of their ability without me hindering that.
Absolutely.
So Paul, we've got two great beliefs here. Maybe one more. So we've got belief in other people and in empowering other people, giving them the credit. One more belief about yourself. What would be one belief specifically about yourself that you have that is one of your cornerstone beliefs about yourself that empowers you to do what you do?
This is going to be hard for a lot of people to grasp, but you know what? I've been beaten up enough times that I've just come to this conclusion, and I'm 61 years old, and so I don't need it anymore. I don't need the beatings. I'm not concerned about me. I know that goes along with believing in other people, but I'm really not concerned about what do I get out of this. My ego is no longer the driving force in my life.
So that's perfect. So the question is then, what is the belief? Because what we're doing is trying to drive home a point for the audience. What is the belief you have about yourself that allows for you not to be concerned about you, and now you can focus on others?
Is this fair to say? Nothing out there is about me. It's about others. I'm very much others oriented.
Others oriented.
I said I don't believe in other people. It's kind of the same thing. But the reality is I love to promote others and others' success. And once again, I think that's what I was instilled in me as a child from my foster mother. She just believed in me so much that I just didn't want to let her down. So when I see other people who are kind of going towards failure, I need to let them know I believe in them.
That's huge. I think that's really, really huge, because so many people are focused on what they believe themselves for themselves. It's about them and not enough of being others focused. So I'm going to transition over, Paul, next to meta programs. Now, meta programs is, from our perspective, it's just our filters, the way we process the world, the way we go about looking at situations, processing them, and coming up with our decisions. So I have a sheet here with a ton of meta programs, but obviously we don't have time to go over all of them. So
nope, we've got about 8 minutes left.
I'm going to ask a couple of them real quick here. I'm going to ask you your frame of reference filter. It's one of the meta programs that we have on our list. And the question is this: how do you know when you've done a good job? Do you know inside, or does someone have to tell you?
I know inside.
Okay, perfect. I'm going to ask the next question. Chunk size, how you like to process information. If we were going to do a project together, and by the way, we've done about 2 or 3 already, would you want to know all the details first or the big picture first?
Big picture.
You would want to know the big picture. Well, would you even need to know the details?
No.
Ah, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Okay, let me see if we have.
And you see how different people can be, because if the details don't make sense to me, I don't care about the big picture. Give me the details.
Well, I only say that because most of the time I don't have time to deal with the details. It's important that I trust you. I don't think we put that anywhere down. I need it. I just set you free because, I think that it's good for you. I need to trust you. But that's part of the integrity. It's part of the relationship building and my knowledge of who you are. If I trust you and you come to me like when Kaya comes to an organization I'm involved in to fix it, I don't ask him, tell me everything you're going to do. I just trust him he's going to do it because I've seen him do it before.
Mm-hmm.
The end results last time proved the future results this time.
That's fantastic. And it really just gives us an idea of the variations in the human psyche.
No, you're just wrong.
Yeah. So Paul, I put in trust on there as well. Okay, so we've got about 4 or 5 quick ones to go. Behaviors. What is a behavior that you do every day? A ritual, perhaps. Something you do in the morning, perhaps, doesn't have to be, but a behavior that you do every day that is the reason why you're successful at what you do. A habit or a behavior or a ritual.
I think that being physically fit is very important and spiritually fit. Of course I wake up and I thank God I'm alive again, I'm breathing. And I like to love my family and friends and my dogs. My dogs need a lot of love right in the morning so they're not crazy during the day.
What kind of dogs do you have, Paul?
I have 2 pit bulls.
Oh, I had a sweet defenseless pit bull for 12 years. I loved her so much.
They're sweethearts. They're not mean unless you make them.
No, you can raise a Chihuahua to be vicious.
Yeah, no, they're not.
Or you can raise a pit bull to be sweet and gentle.
Yeah, I have.
So let's jump into the next one, which is strategies. So strategies obviously plays a very, very big role with the companies that we train, salespeople, leaders, entrepreneurs. I'm curious, strategies, if anything, well, let me ask you this. Can you remember the moment you decided to run for office and be a public servant?
Well, I didn't. I got appointed and I really wasn't expecting it.
Okay, all right, so, okay, perfect. You got appointed.
It was one of those waves that caught me. I wasn't looking.
Right. Okay, perfect. Let's look at that really briefly. So you were appointed. can you remember the moment when you had to decide to accept it or not?
Yeah, well, I'll even go a step further. I was appointed and I had to decide whether to run to maintain it or not.
So can you go back to that specific moment when you ran to maintain it?
Yeah.
Right before, can you go back to that very moment, like that day, that hour, that minute? What happened in your brain right before you decided that you wanted to go and run? Did you see something? Did you hear something? Did you feel a certain way? Did you get some information? What caused you to choose to say, I'm in, I'm going to do this?
It's easy for me because I'm a Christian and I'm a pastor and all these things. And I always, I can just jump on, I felt it was God's will. And I kind of did, because there was so much against me ever winning an election. I mean, I was appointed, but there was no way most people thought I could ever win an election. So I felt actually kind of called to do it. I felt a spiritual calling to get into this. If I can take that, if I can say that.
So you felt a spiritual calling to do this, and then was it you felt it and then you decided, or was there something else that happened?
It was very clear. It was very clear. I looked back on all of the reasons why I was where I was, and I looked at all of the people that were going to be coming after me to not, and I just said, and it just appeared to me, I felt very clear that I was going in the correct direction to pursue to get elected.
Awesome. We've got about 3 or 4 more. Language. Our next one is language. What is the internal language, the voice in our head, your head, what does it say to you on a day-to-day basis to keep you so consistently serving as mayor of your city? So what are the thought processes or the language, maybe what got you up this morning, every morning to do your job? What's the words that you say to yourself or that you hear that gets you up in the morning?
My alarm.
Your alarm. Okay. So I'm going to ask that question. Perfect. So your alarm goes off, and then what does your brain say as you're getting out of bed?
My wife just hates me for this, but you know what? I am so goal oriented. The first thing that happens in my head, I think, I need to finish these things. I have a list in my head.
I do that too.
I need to finish these things. By the way, for you guys on Facebook watching this, that is a modal operator of necessity, right? I need to, I must do, I ought to, I have to. And I'm going to be honest, that gets results.
3 things every day.
It may not feel the best thing to wake up like I get excited to, but obviously, it's getting results with Mayor Paul Leone. So I need to. So I've got that. The next
Kaya, I'm sorry. I say I need to, but the reality is I like to do them too. I'm all motivated. I want to go do it. My wife wants me to take a day off, and I'm like, what's that?
I need to, and I like to. I love it. All right. Okay. So we have 3 left to go. Sales, leadership, and actions. Sales. Okay. So obviously, we teach in our seminars all the time, Paul, that we say, who here believes they're a salesman? And half of the room put their hands up and half of the room doesn't. And we always teach, we're all in sales. We all sell the value that we bring to the marketplace and bring to the world. We sell our kids on, getting up in the morning, brushing their teeth, getting good grades, and then they'll go and, go to a good college or whatever. So as far as, is there any part of you that feels that that the salesman in you, that you've got to sell people on a vision? Or you may use a different word than sell. You may say, speaking to a vision.
Yeah, I've already come to conclusions about me being a salesman. If I believe in it, I could sell an ice cube to an Eskimo. If I don't believe in it, I couldn't sell, cash money to a broke man. I have to believe in it, and then I'd become the best salesman ever.
Awesome.
It doesn't work.
Okay, perfect. 2 more to go. Leadership. What would be your most important leadership principle? Not that what you teach others. What would be your most important leadership principle that you use for yourself to do what you do on a daily basis so well?
Don't be afraid of the people.
Don't be afraid of the people.
Right.
That's huge.
Don't be afraid of people. Okay, so how would you put that in a positive context? I mean, it's positive, of course, but how would you summarize that with one word?
Have the strength to do what's right and correct.
And where do you derive that strength to do that?
Because people have entrusted me to lead them. If I'm going to take the job, I need to have the strength to do it.
Got it. Okay. And we're now at the top here, right before results. What are the actions similar to behaviors, but what are the actions that you take on a regular basis, routinely, every week, every month, that makes you an effective leader? So it's less about the mindset. It's more about how you walk your talk. What is that walk that you do that is walking your talk?
Okay, this is going to be hard for you necessarily to understand unless you've seen what I've seen in politics, because we're talking about politics. We're talking about the church. It's a whole different thing.
Correct.
In politics, show up.
So talk to us about showing up. Talk to us about what is it, the mindset, the philosophy that you have that has you consistently show up. I mean, I'm sure there's days where you feel sick as a dog, you're tired, something's going on in your family, but yet you still show up. What makes that happen?
There's always emergencies and there's excusable absences, but there are some people who get elected and all you have to do is look at the voting record of most of your elected leaders at any level, and absences are there because they don't want to show up and do what they have to do to be the leader. I show up to everything. I show up to the Boy Scout group. I show up to the people who are protesting. I showed up in the middle of the street one day because everyone was staying away of these guys who were protesting that Black Lives Matter. And I walked into the middle of the group and I said, okay, you matter. What do you want? They said, we want to talk to the man. I said, well, I'm the man. They didn't believe me until they found out the truth. And then we were able to walk away and peacefully understand each other. But, a lot of people said I was crazy to show up there. But they were on the news, so somebody needed to show up, and I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid to show up.
May I add one more to that, Kaya?
Yes.
From a female perspective, I have to admit, I would say self-love and self-care. Take care of yourself. Ian Levan Sant says, give to yourself until your cup is full. Then you can give to others from the overflow. Every Sunday, I go to the gym. I get in the pool. I get in the steam. I do the hair wash thing. And all of that is about self-love and self-care.
I do a lot of that stuff. Kaya knows on my personal level, I take my wife and we go to a masseuse and we go here, we go there. We do those kinds of things. I agree with you 100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that is leadership. Lead by example. Let's get a massage.
I take her right there and look at her at the other table. It's great. It's fun.
Fantastic. So Kaya, what do you think?
I think this was an amazing, amazing interview. As we look at this, we've got a sense of this structure from the purpose, being intimate with people, honest, in an honest way, motivation, being a self-starter, to being decisive, emotions, being happy, values, faith, work ethic, getting the job done, beliefs, believing in other people. I think that was really huge. That's one of the principles that John Maxwell teaches in his book, 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. He's always talking about believing in others and integrity, behaviors, physical and spiritual exercise. I love that. You know, that's so, so important. You feel good, you do good, then you do good, then you feel good, and vice versa. Language, the need to, and I like to. I love that as well. Salesmanship, as far as he mentioned, just believing in something. Leadership, strength, and actually showing up. So this is actually, and in the amount of time that we've been allotted, which is about an hour, we'd love to spend a day with you, Paul. So we're going to steal you away if it's okay. In March of, I believe March 7th is the date that we're setting, which would be a Wednesday. So we'll hopefully, Paul looks around left, right. Hopefully you'll be free that day. We'd love to steal you away for a day to be in the city of Los Angeles with an amazing panel of other great leaders where we get to model them. So this is the model, at least for what time we had allotted, that makes the great Mayor Paul Leon be the heartbeat of the city of Ontario and be mayor for the city for now the fourth term, going on almost 14 years. And so our question is, what is your model? As you're watching this on Facebook, whether you're with Bank of America, Wells Fargo, or Century 21, or Keller Williams, whether you're in real estate sales, or whether you're in the mortgage industry, whether you're in financial services, whether you're in network marketing, wherever you're at, what we'd like to do is explore what is your model of excellence. And here's the thing, because if we built this structure and we're doing it with a person that's struggling, not quite getting the results that they want, we will definitely get a model of the world. However, the question is that model of the world achieving exceptional results, excellent results? So what I'd like for us to do, and we're going to be doing this on a weekly basis. We actually have next week Tigran Basmajian on Tuesday. He's the #1 New York Life managing partner in the country. He's got an amazing office in the greater Pasadena area. We're going to be interviewing people like him. What we want to do is we want you to pick a model. So if your model is Mayor Paul Leon because you want to be of the greatest service, you want to be the person that the community loves and votes in time and time after again, you might want to look at this. And it's one thing to look at it. Sean and I were talking about this the other day. It's another thing to actually install it, right? One can't just look at this and expect it to become us because we take a glance at it.
I have an awesome idea.
Yes.
Why don't we give away a ticket to the March event?
Oh, okay. We're going to give away.
Let's come up with a question that people can answer oh, I know. Here's the question.
Okay.
What town did Mayor Leon grow up in? Answer that question in the comment section below, and we're going to pick one person at random, and you're going to get a free ticket to our March event.
Well, we could do that, or we could do one person at random. Yeah, I like that.
Let's do that.
Can I type in the answer? I was.
No, not you. They type in the answer.
I want to come to that event.
You're already going to be there. Oh,
you spelled it wrong.
You sent them to college. What do they learn? You're already going to be there.
Awesome. All right. So we're checking here on Facebook. I know my Facebook feed is on a 20-second delay, so we probably should get some people typing in.
Yeah, just go ahead and type in the answer, and then after the close of the show, we're going to randomly pick somebody out of that comment feed, and you're going to get a ticket to come to our event.
Absolutely. So, Paul, what did you think of today?
Well, I thought it was a lot of fun talking to you. Then, of course, after the fact, I started looking at this, and I think, well, I should have said this, and I should have said this, and I should have said this. But, in the end, this is our first conversation about these kinds of things.
Yes.
And I hadn't really thought it through or had anybody asking me all these things before.
And I loved the kind of off the cuff way we had this conversation. It's so much better. And that's the purpose of our event in March, is to invite leaders such as yourself here in Los Angeles, a nice big event with probably 500 people or so, where we get to dive in deeper into some of this, and we get to get different pieces from different models of excellence and learn how to put these in us. Because really, at the end of the day, NLP basically teaches us, first, you've got to find the model of excellence, whoever that person is that's achieving outstanding results in your career, in your line of business. Second thing you need to do is similar to what I just did here. You need to interview them and discover what is the model of excellence, what makes them so excellent at doing this. And then the third step is where NLP comes in, neuro-linguistic programming. We have very powerful processes. One of them is a 26-step breakthrough process that allows for you to take this model and actually bring it into you. You're able to shift your beliefs. So your beliefs are in alignment with the #1 producer in your industry. You're able to shift your values. So your values drive your behavior. Your values become aligned like the same person who's the #1 person in your industry. You're able to have those similar values that will achieve those same results. So with that being said, Paul, we loved having you on the show today. Sean, loved having you on the show with me as my co-host.
Thank you.
And we look forward to March 7th. Mark your calendars. Send us a inbox message. We are going to be releasing some pre-sale tickets, early bird tickets for that. We're just getting the location and everything situated right now. It is Wednesday, March 7th, 2018. And that's going to be here in the city of Los Angeles. And stay tuned for the coming weeks with the amazing, amazing people that we have coming on. One of them is going to be Marty Rodriguez, #1 agent for Century 21 in the history of the Century 21 system.
Awesome, awesome, awesome woman.
Tigran Basmadjian, as we mentioned. We also are going to have the one and the only Les Brown here. Hopefully,
yay, my sensei!
And a few other amazing individuals. I won't spoil it all ahead of time. Thank you, Paul, for your time, for your service. And I look forward to continuing this journey with each other and helping everybody achieve excellence, whatever that looks like for them in their life.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. I know we went a little bit long, but we've got so much value to give to you. We can't wait till you come see us in person. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome. So is that it, Kaya? What do I do? Hang up?
That's it. We just give each other a high five.
High five. High five.
See you again soon. Thank you, Facebook family.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye, you guys.
That was fun.
That was fun.